Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's form building webinar. My name is Nick, and I'll be walking us through the builder today. Today's topic is going to be going over updating and editing forms that exist in multiple packets, and we'll be going through talking about how to add forms to multiple packets, update them, and also talk about one of our new features as well, the synced forms. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get started, as we do have quite a bit to go over today. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions as we go along, I will be opening up that chat a little bit later in the webinar, and I'll be happy to go back over any information or answer any questions that might come through before we wrap up today. But all right, we'll go ahead and start out on our packets and forms page. And as always, we'll work out of our FormDr training packet, which we have up here at the top. And we'll go ahead and click the three dots on the right and edit forms to get in to update that packet. But before we do, again, we're talking about forms that will be existing in multiple packets. This would typically, or at least in what I have seen, most typically be an intake form or a consent form, something that might find its way into multiple packets that might just be slightly different. But if there is a form that you will be using in multiple packets, we'll talk about how to get that in there. And we'll start out with our FormDr training today. We'll go ahead and click on that link to bring up the form. And just to take a quick look at what tabs we have available in the form thus far. Information, medical history 2, privacy practices, consent, and uploads cards. Now, if we wanted to add any tabs to this packet, we would do so through the Edit Forms. So we'll go ahead and click that Edit Forms button when we click on those three dots on the right. That's going to take you to step 1 of the builder, and this is going to be the page that you'll be able to add or remove any tabs from this current packet. If we wanted to replace this consent form with a consent form from a different packet, all we would need to do is go ahead and remove this by clicking those three dots on the right of the tab, clicking Delete and confirming, removing that consent form from this packet. And we're going to go ahead and import a consent form that's already built and already in existence in our account. Now, it's very important. Obviously, you will be needing to import a duplicate copy of a form that is already created, because you won't be able to import something that hasn't been created yet. But if that consent form, or whatever form that may be, already does exist in your account, all you'll need to do is, in the next packet that you want it to be included in, is just come to this Add Forms page, and we're going to use the Import Form button here, the third option in this list. When we click that, we'll be given a prompt window that gives us the drop down to select from any form within our account. So we'll go ahead and use the consent form from our registration packet. So we'll select that registration packet, and then we will select that Signed Consent tab right there. We'll import that, and that will bring that form into this packet. Now, one note here, it does not pull the form out of the other packet. It simply makes a duplicate copy and places it into this current packet. All right, so we can go to Next to Build to take a look at that consent form. And if we would like to update the order of these tabs as well, because any added tab on the Add Forms page is going to be added at the end of that packet. So if you want to bring that up and maybe let that Upload Cards page be the final tab, all we'll need to do is select that consent form or the tab that we wish to move, and use the left or the right arrows on either side of that tab title to move it up or down in the order. We can place that wherever we like, but we'll just leave it right there, right before the end. So we have our new consent form here, and we can save these changes. We'll click all the way through the builder until we're back on that Send and Receive page, and we'll know that those changes have been saved and published. We can go back to the Packets and Forms page and click on that public link of the form, taking us to a live version of the form, and we can see we have our new consent form here. Now, if we were to open our registration packet, which is the one that we pulled that consent form from, we can see here that both of these forms are the same. Okay, so if we were to go back into one of these forms and update them, let's go ahead and do that in our FormDr training packet. We'll go Next to Build, go over to that Consent tab, and then we'll make our changes here. Maybe we want all of this to be bolded or something like that. Just something that we can do to see that change take place. And then this one will get both. All right. And then we'll go ahead and save those changes. Back to account. And now when we open both of these again, our training packet and our registration packet, the consent forms are going to be different because all packets do exist separately. So it's important to know that. This one will have remained the same as it was when we imported it over, but our new one is now bolded and italicized. So each packet does exist separately. So if there is a form that exists in multiple packets, you will need to keep that in mind if you do need to make edits to those forms. Now, an easy way to save some time is to just import that edited form. So if you have made extensive edits that have taken you some time, I always do just recommend if you wanted to change how that looks, or say for our registration packet, we want to bring that new consent form over that's bolded and italicized, we will then import it from the other packet, our FormDr training packet. We'll import that edited consent into each form that it already exists in, and we're just going to delete out the old one and replace it with our new one. We'll go next to build, and again, we'll update the order of this packet by bringing that consent form up, but this will now have our updated consent form with the bold and italicized text. We can then save it and publish it. Oop. Misclick there. But those changes will have then been made in our registration packet, and we will then now have the same consent form in both of these packets. So all of this just to demonstrate what you'll need to do to change the forms in each packet. Now, the other option you have here is to utilize one of our new features that we've just released, the synced form. You will notice the Add Synced Form button has been added to this page here, and also another section in this Packets and Forms page titled Forms. Now, the difference between these two options is that the synced form is only going to allow for a single tab, so it will not act as a packet. It will act as a single tab, and you will not be able to add any other tabs to this form. We can go in and edit this, and it won't take us to the Add Forms page. It will take us directly to the builder. So again, this will be one tab. However, the synced form will allow us to use this as a single document that can be imported into each of the other packets and then updated from a single location that will also make the updates in the packets that it exists in. You can also send this form out as an individual form if you like. So this is basically just one free extra form for your account. However, it is important to point out the difference between a packet and a synced form. If you are adding forms, you would want to add them as a packet, as all accounts are given one synced form that they are able to use, and anything added over this will incur a $5 per month charge for each synced form added. So I do recommend adding them as packets, and a packet can contain one single form or many. It can contain an unlimited amount of forms if you wish. The packet is just the container of forms that is sent to the patient via this link just underneath the packet title. The patient will receive all of the forms within that packet when sent that link. But again, it can contain one form or it can contain 100, whatever the case may be. But that will be the difference between the packets and the synced forms. But let's go ahead and take another look at our patient info form, which we have here set up as a synced form, and just take a quick look at that. We'll go ahead and go back into that edit forms, which will take us into our builder, and we can take a quick look at this form. And basically, I just have this set up as a demonstration form with several different sections of single select options, a few drop downs, and a signature. So we can go back and save this form. Just wanted to let you see it. But to add this form, we will do it very much the same way using that import form option in the add forms page. So if we were going to add that form to our FormDr training packet, for instance, click those three dots, edit forms, and on this page here, we'll be able to add that synced form. And to do so, we're going to click the import form option. We're going to select from the packet, except this time we're going to select the patient info form, which will let you know that it is a synced form in the parentheses. We'll select that packet and the only tab that it will have with it, and we'll import that. And just like anything else, we'll be able to update that order of those forms. However, once we get into the builder, you'll notice in the old way, we are able to update our consent form here, but as our patient info form is a synced form, we will only be able to update the position in the order of the packet. We will not be able to update. Well, we will not be able to update this form as I'm just having some computer issues today, as this is a synced form. So you'll notice that it'll let you know this is a synced form. Go to My Forms to update this page. Synced forms will automatically update in all packets. So we've added this form here. We have our sections of single select options. We have our drop downs and our signature. We are not able to update any of this information as we will need to go into that synced form to make those updates. Just one note here, the My Forms page has been retitled to Packets and Forms. So anytime you see anything referencing My Forms, just know that that is leading you to the Packets and Forms page, as that is something that has been updated with this recent release. But if we go to Publish, we'll then have added that tab to our FormDr training packet as that 7th form. It will be found at the end of this packet, and we can see that information here. Now, if we go into our synced form and we update this information, and let's just say we want to get rid of a few of these single select option sections and just leave one and those drop downs. Let's just leave the drop downs just so we can see that a little more clearly. So we'll just now leave the drop downs in our signature page. We'll save those changes by clicking all the way through the builder. And now we can refresh this page because this link will not change for our FormDr training packet. We can just go ahead and refresh that page, and our patient info sheet has now been updated as well. So if this form is held in multiple packets, anywhere that it's held, which we also have this packet in our advanced beneficiary notice, or this form, I should say, so that will be updated here as well. So you'll only need to update that form one single time, and it will make those updates in all of the forms that it exists in, or all of the packets that it exists in. Now again, I know I've harped on this twice, but this will allow for only one tab. So you will not be able to add multiple tabs, and that's simply because for the functionality to work, when it imports it over, it will import it as one single tab into that other packet. But this can make it a lot easier for you if you do have forms set up in this manner, just to be able to make those updates and not have to make them multiple times. I have seen some accounts where the same form is in 10 different packets, and if they needed to make updates, they would have needed to make those updates in each packet or import that form into each packet. And now you'll just be able to do that in one location and make those changes across the board. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up that chat as well, just in case there are any questions that come through. But that chat is open, so feel free to get those in before we close up today. And if I do need to go back over any of this information, I'm absolutely happy to. I know it's a new feature and some information to learn. But in the meantime, while we wait for those to come through, we'll go back into our FormDr training packet. And we'll talk a little bit more about our import form option, just in terms of, again, being able to import a duplicate copy of whatever you're looking for. You'll even be able to import from the current packet that you're in. So if you are, wanting to make some extra updates to something, but you don't necessarily want to get rid of the current form that you have in your packet, we can, for instance, we're working off of our FormDr training packet. We can select that packet because it is a live and published packet. We can then select any of the tabs from within this form, and we can then add that form again. So it's just duplicated it from the exact same packet just into a new tab. And then from here, maybe you work off of this one to try some new things, make it look a little bit differently. This may not be the best form for this demonstration, but if you are reformatting, a medical history or a intake form or something like that, and you wanted it to look a little bit differently, you could do some tests like that. And you can always hide tabs in your packet because, if you do take this route and you are adding forms and kind of working on them, obviously when you send that packet out to the patient, they're still going to see that tab. So you can hide these tabs as well. So if there's one that you're working on and you don't really want the patient to see it yet, you can always just toggle on that hide from user option when you click on that tab. And now when the form or the packet is sent to the patient, they will not see this tab included. It will be on that form in your admin. You will be able to see it in that final submission. However, the patient will not see that information. And even if there are required fields on this tab, they will not affect the patient's ability to upload that completed submission. Oh, got a question? The question is how to import already existing Word doc forms into the system. So there's a couple ways you could do that. Typically, most if not all forms will need to be recreated using the builder and the elements within. That would be created then as a packet. If you are on a Pro plan or higher account, so all plans other than the starter will have this availability, but you will have access to the convert file option for all Pro and higher plan accounts as well. And when you get to the add forms page, the convert file option will, if you are not wanting to build the form in the builder yourself, we do offer the ability to upload a document to be built by our team for $10 a page. Once they have completed that, they will publish it for you, and it will be ready to go as soon as they're done. And if you do choose to do that route, while that form is with our team, you won't be able to go in and edit it. That's just to prevent anyone from saving over each other's work. But once our team has completed that, then it will be published, and you'll be able to tell when it is published because of this FormDr logo within the patient chart icon. That's going to let you know that that form is published and live and ready to go. Anything that has this clock icon instead, that just lets you know that it's currently with our team being built. Now, depending on the intensity of what you're trying to upload, if it is something that you're just needing a few fields filled out, or a few fields of information from the patient and maybe a signature, then you do have the ability to upload that as a document as well. So some of the new features that we added, one of which we talked about today, are synced form. We also just recently added the ability to upload a document and a document template. So each account will now also have access to one reusable document template as well, which we have currently set up for this one, which is our HIPAA consent form. But this is basically going to allow you to upload a PDF file. Currently, in the future that may change, but currently it is a PDF file. And then once you have added the document, you'll then be able to assign your roles. For the purposes of this demonstration, I've added 2 roles, our patient and our doctor. This is setting up a document template again. We'll click next, and that will take us to that PDF. And then we can add our fields just by clicking and dragging our text boxes or our name, our signature field here, date. So I've just basically dragged those over those fields and made this fillable. We'll get rid of this one because we won't need it. And then if you are switching between those roles, as both roles or all roles that are added to the form are going to need at least one field to be filled out, you'll just use this drop down up at the top left, the signer's drop down. We can select that doctor field. And then now the color will change. All of these items will be associated with the doctor. So essentially we're asking for our doctor's name and signature, and then we'll be able to go to next. And then any other recipients that may need to receive a copy, whether there's a member on staff that would need to receive these copies or whatever the case may be, but then we can save that as the template, return to our documents page, and we can send that out from here, or you can send that from the send and receive page as well, just by using that documents tag. And then you'll select your document template. And when you send that out, you'll be able to select the signer name, their email, which we have our role 1 set to the patient. So this would be the patient name and email. Our role 2 is set to the doctor. So this is going to be the doctor name, doctor email, and then any of them, or optional message if you would like to include it. And then if anyone else needs to receive a copy of this, but not actually need to sign, you can include them here as well. Once you send that document out, it's going to send it to both parties at the same time, or including any recipients as well. But it will be waiting on signatures from signer 1 and signer 2. So we can see in this submission here, I sent this out to our supports email and also my personal email. And so we can see I have signed it through the support email, but we are still waiting on my personal email to sign that. But we can click on that submission and it will take us to a preview of that right now. And we can see we have our doctor's information with the name and the signature included. And we're just waiting on the client to sign that now. And once they do, that submission will turn from a light gray to a dark blue, and you'll be able to export that information out if you need to. I had just set that one up as doctor. So whenever, just for instance, we'll go ahead and go back down to the doctors. I'm only taking you through this because I feel personally that it's a little bit easier to set these up as templates rather than going through each time, because if say for instance we were to select our document, we could select our HIPAA consent and upload that through this way, but this would be a one-off each time, as this wouldn't be set up as a template. So we would then need to add our signers here. So we could have as many roles as we wanted, so just one role or two roles, whatever the case may be. For that template I had set up, I did set that up just as a doctor's role, just as a placeholder, but you can go in and update that if we go to edit. And we could change this to be whatever we wanted. So once we get to our roles here, we could edit the signer, and I've just titled this doctor. So maybe it's, practitioner instead, and then you're good to go. And you don't even need multiple roles. If you're only looking for a signature or some information from the patient with this style, then you could do it with only one signer. That would work just fine. This is more for the ability for you to use a PDF that you already have set up that might not be too difficult to add all of those fillable fields to, and then just collect that signature. And the document system will also add our new signature widget as well. So it will give the ability to type in a signature, make it look cursive or save that signature, whatever the case may be. So it will give a little bit extra functionality in terms of how that compares to our packets and forms signature. But to answer your other question, to add the signature field, if you are doing that through the packets and forms page, you'll do that through step 2, which is the builder. So you'll click that edit forms, we'll go next to build, and then from here we're just going to find our signature widget, which is going to be in the sign and date section on the left side. And you can either click it to add it at the very bottom of that tab, or you can click and drag it if you want that to be in a very specific position. All right. So I can use a PDF of my own forms. You can use a PDF of your own forms. However, you will need to add those fillable fields. And as you'll notice, the builder options in the packets and forms is going to be much more robust than it is in the documents section. And that's simply because you won't be able to utilize conditional formatting and things like that in the documents. But again, we can go into that document template, and we'll go to next, get into the actual template, and you'll have your sidebar options over here. So you will have some selection option with the drop down, maybe a single checkbox, but you will need to drag those fields onto that form and build that out as well. And if you are going to be using the PDF to do this, I would recommend then saving it as a template, because otherwise you'll have to drag those fields out onto each each question each time you send that document out to a patient. So for most forms, we do typically recommend building them out as packets or as a synced form if it's going to be used in multiple packets. Typically the documents would be used to collect signatures and a little bit of information. However, if you have the time and patience to build those out, then absolutely you will be able to use that in the same way. So to save it as a template, we'll just go back to the account, and I'll just start a new one so that you can see this. But we'll go to the documents page, and let's just go ahead and get rid of this so that we can start over as you would see it. So once you get to the documents page, you'll have the select your document section, and it will also let you know that you're using 0 of 1 reusable templates. But to add it as a template, we're just going to click the add template button. We'll upload the documents we want included, and it does not have to just be one document. You can upload multiple documents if you like, but you will need to set each one of those up. And then once you have your documents uploaded, we'll click next. And now we're going to add the roles of the signers. So for this document, it only adds the patient name and patient signature, so I'll just set it up in that manner. But if you do have multiple signers that you need, then you would want to add those as roles. So I'm going to add the role of a patient, and this is just kind of a placeholder title for that role, and this is what's going to show up in that builder section in that drop down of the signer. So I have this titled as patient. If you have one titled as practitioner, then it would come up as that instead. And I'll get into that a little bit more as soon as we go on, but I'll go ahead and save that. And then add any other roles that you may need to collect on that form from those people. We'll click next once we have done that. And now we'll add our fields to this form. So what we'll do here, we can autofill some of these fields. So if we send this out to somebody via email and we choose to use that email autofill, this is going to autofill with that information. Likewise for the name. Now we have this set up as patient first name and patient last name. So instead of just having this autofill across the entire thing, I would prefer to personally have 2 text boxes over each one of those. So I'll just drag and drop a text box to position. I'll resize it, and I'll do the same for my last name and resize it. We'll go ahead and add a signature. Make that fit. And then our date sign we'll add down at the bottom. And now we've got all of the fields for this form. It's a very simple consent form, but we've added all of our fields here. If we did have a second role or a second signer, then when we click that drop down, we'll have another option, or as many options as you have added as roles. We only have that one role for this form, so this is all we will get here. And then once we're ready, we'll click next. We'll then be able to preset the title of this document. So I'm just going to title it HIPAA consent, and then a message that you would like to be included. You can set this here and it will save that message for any time you send that form out. You'll also be able to add any recipients that will be saved here as well. And then once you're done, you just save and return to my account, and now you have a brand new document template that's set up. And again, you can send that template, or that document out from this page just by clicking the 3 dots and send document, which will take you, once my page loads, to the signers page. And at this point, you'll be able to add that signer name and the signer email. In this case, it would be the patient, the way that I have set it up. And then once we click save, we can go on through the form and get that sent out. Now you can also send that out again from the send and receive page, which is going to be the top option, the very first page that you'll see. And that's going to be found in the documents section over here. And then from here, if you want to send that document out, just select the document, drop down. There will be your template right there waiting for you. And then you'll be able to assign that out to the signers, anyone else that may need to be included or to be sent that form once it has been signed, and send that out. You can also modify the document from here as well if you do need to make an adjustment. So just be aware of that. And then all of those submissions, once they come back to you, will be found here. As we can see, we have 4 incomplete submissions that are still waiting on signatures. However, again, once they have been completed and submitted, they will turn to that dark blue background, letting us know that we are good to go. And I can actually show you just briefly. Let me go ahead and go on over to my other screen really quickly. If I can find it. All right, there it is. I'll go ahead and sign it. And all I'm doing here is I'm completing this one here. I'm going to go ahead and sign that through my personal email that I had sent and fill out those fields. I am doing this on my other screen, so I do apologize, but I have signed and submitted. And so now we're just going to refresh this section of this page. And we can see that this has now turned to a dark blue. So now we know that we have both of those signatures. And when we looked at it earlier, we only had that doctor's signature on the right. Now we have our information for our patient as well. And when we signed that form, it has given us that auto-filled date as well and timestamp. And now from here, we can download this out as a PDF and send it to whoever we need, or store it for our own information, or we can delete that from here as well. Just know that any of these submissions that have been deleted from this page will not be able to be recovered if they are deleted. So please make sure you're not deleting anything that you may need later. So I had only set it up with so it will come back. So I'm sorry, the question is, they automatically come back to me. Does the signature information come back or the whole document? So it will be dependent on what you have set up to collect. So if we go back into this document, and I understand this document is probably not the very best for a demonstration as it's just a consent form, but we are just asking for the patient first name and last name, the signature, and the date. If we had other fields in here, such as social security number, patient sex, address, whatever the case may be, we would need to add those text boxes for each one of those within that form, and then that would allow the patient to fill out that information. Otherwise, just think of it as these options over here are going to allow the patient to interact with the form. Otherwise, it's just going to be a PDF. So if you do want those fields to be fillable, you will need to add those through the document section with the elements on the sidebar, and that will allow the patient to interact with the form in filling out those boxes and signing that signature widget. But it will bring that full document back to you in that submission. So all of the fields that they have filled out. And again, if you need to make fields required, all you'll need to do is, once they have been set, just click on that field, and then we can just toggle on that required field on the right side. That will force the patient to complete those boxes before they're able to submit the document. Likewise with that signature, and then date signed, since it autofills, it will do it on its own. But yes, all of the fields that you have included that have been filled out will come back to you on that form as that PDF, which we can go back to account. We can go ahead and download that submission and take a look at it. And we'll have our consent form, our patient information, doctor information, and signatures. All right. We are running a bit short on time. So if we do have any other questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer those before we close up. In the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about our form building webinar schedule, which can be found by going to My Account, Support, and Search Guide. Now, the guide is also a really great resource to help answer any questions that you might have. In terms of using the account in general, building forms, sending forms, whatever the case may be, we have many articles in here that will help you out. We do have articles on all of our widgets. For instance, how to autofill, whatever the case may be. We'll have some imagery in here and some step-by-step instructions to get that done. If you are trying to set up any integrations, we'll have that information for you in more detail. Dropbox, for instance, will be found right there. Step-by-step instructions, imagery to help get you through it. By the end of that article, you'll be all squared away. But also, too, you can use this guide to keep up with our updates and our schedule for the webinars just by clicking on that FormDr updates section. We'll have our webinar schedule on the left side. All of our recent releases will be found on the right side. For instance, for more information about our document signing, synced forms, and our third edition with this update, our customizable plans, please feel free to come check all these out and keep up with our recent releases. But our webinar schedule will be found on the left side. For instance, if we go to the April 2023 webinar schedule, the onboarding schedule can be found in the top section. This won't change too much for each webinar, as the onboarding will be going over general account use and administrative goings on. But our form building schedule will be changing for each day. We will be going over different topics, and each month we're doing a different theme. So February was building out and adding new forms to your account. March was going over each of the individual widgets in the builder, and this month in April we've been going over editing and updating existing forms and packets. So please feel free to check out our schedule. If there is anything you're interested in joining or joining us for to learn, you can just click on that title link. It will take you to a sign up page for that day. And if there's anything that you are interested in but won't be available to attend, don't worry, we will be posting those recordings as well. And once that title has changed to posted, click here. You can click that link. It will take you right to our YouTube channel, and that will we'll have some timestamps on the video, but you'll be able to watch all of those at your leisure as well. But we do have the ones from March and February posted up as well. So there might be one or two that needs to be uploaded, but please feel free to come check out that webinar schedule. All right. Oh, sorry. One more question. Basic account. So what do I get? So the basic account will be the starter plan. You'll have access to one user, one packet, one synced form, and one document template. So you will have, with this update, in a sense, gained an extra packet, because you can use that synced form on its own as well. You can send that out as its own individual packet, but again, it will be just one single tab, but that will effectively give you one extra packet. If you do have, a consent form or something that you would like to send separately, you can include that as a synced form, as well as a form within that packet. But yes, you'll have access to one user, one document template, one packet, and one synced form. You'll also be able to utilize some of the bulk exporting integrations as well, such as the CSV and Excel. These will allow you to export multiple submissions at once if you are storing that information separately. But if you're curious as to what you'll be able to have access to, as once you click on any of these icons in this page, if you do not have access to that with your plan, it will bring up a prompt with the plan that you would need to be on to take advantage of that. But you can get a lot more use out of the integrations page in terms, if you do find yourself exporting, multiple CSVs or PDFs, whatever it is, manually, these can make your life a lot easier. These, for instance, can be done in the 30-day windows or timelines. I'm blanking, but this can make your life a whole lot easier. All right. I do apologize as we are all out of time today, but please feel free to join us next time on Thursday, as we will be continuing our April webinar series, and we will be talking about using the import form function, which we did talk about today as well. But in this situation, we'll be talking about using it to combine packets and change up your packet orders as well. So please feel free to join us for that one. If you do have any staff or coworkers that would like to learn this information, or if you would like for them to learn this information, please feel free to send them our way as well. These are all free, and we do encourage everybody to join us as often as they like until they are comfortable with the product, and beyond as well if they enjoy coming. But there is much good information to be learned from these, and a great opportunity to ask some questions as well. But thank you all for joining us today. That will conclude this form building webinar, but hope to see you again next time or very soon, and hope you all have a great afternoon. Thank you.